So, come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who is seated upon many waters. We'll get to that. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, with the wine of whose fornication the dwellers on earth have become drunk. I would say that this wine that she's drinking is the wrath that's part of what the judgments were in the previous chapters that we just read. Okay. Now, keep reading. Verse 3. And he carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of blasphemous names, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, where did we see a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns? 13. The beast that comes out of the sea. Notice that the woman, go back to verse 1. Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who is seated upon what? Waters. Many waters. Where did the beast come out of, the first beast? The sea. Does anyone remember what I said was the interpretation or the understanding of what is the symbolism of the sea? It's political, but who?
Antichrist.
Gentiles. Gentile kingdoms.
Yeah, and the land is the
And the land is Israel. Okay? Because the second beast comes out of the earth, it says, or the land. All right? As opposed to the sea, which is representative of the nations, or the non-Jewish nations. Yes?
Which chapter are you on right now?
Right now I'm in 17. Okay? And I'm looking at, oops, hold it. Looking at right here. The harlot. Oh, can I do that? I can. Harlot who is seated upon many waters. Stop. It's got a highlighting feature, but I'm wondering if I can do it. Let me see if I can do it with my pen. There we go. See that? She's seated on many waters. Where did the first beast come out of? The sea. Sea represents the Gentile nations. Now, where did I get that idea from? I just made it up? Say no?
No.
No. It comes from Daniel chapter 8, the original vision of the beasts that Daniel saw, which were representative of the Gentile nations. Where do they come from? The sea. So this idea of the Gentile nations as represented by the sea goes all the way back to Daniel. Daniel chapter 8. Read the whole chapter, you'll get the picture. All right? So, we're getting some clues here about the identity of this harlot. Aha. So let me get another page here. Okay. So who is the harlot? Okay. First of all, it's identified as the great city. Right? We've seen at least 2 previous verses that describe it as the great city. Right? And it is seated, or it rests on the nations. Rests, seated on the Gentile nations. That's how it's described. Okay? And where does that come from? What is that imagery? Wait a minute, wrong one. Water. Okay? That's where the imagery, that's the symbolism upon which it comes. Now notice, in this image that we have, the harlot is seated on the first beast. The harlot is seated on the first beast from Revelation 13. The one that's red with 7 heads and 10 horns, with blasphemous names all over it. Did you catch all of that? Okay. That's a direct image of Revelation 13, the first beast, who had 7 heads and 10 horns and blasphemous names. She is seated on this guy. Now, if that guy was identified as the Antichrist, right? Who is she? Someone in cahoots with the spirit of the Antichrist. Not the false prophet. The false prophet comes out of the earth and is described as a lamb that speaks with the mouth of a dragon. Different beast. Okay? So whoever the harlot is, she is in cahoots, okay, is connected with the Antichrist. And I'm going to put it in little a form because this personage is throughout all time. It's not just a personage, it is a spirit, if you will, of what is connected with the Antichrist. Okay? So we're getting warmer here as to who this identity is. Okay, so let's keep reading. Verse 4, back to Revelation 17. Okay? Revelation 4. The woman, was she dressed? Purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and jewels and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the impurities of her fornication. And on her forehead was written a name of mystery. In other words, she's marked on her forehead. Have we seen this happen before? Yeah, a couple times. Name me a time. Ezekiel, yes. Ezekiel saw a vision in which an angel went and marked people who were aligned with God. Where in the book of Revelation have we seen people marked on the forehead? It's 2 places. The what?
666.
Yes, the mark of the beast. Revelation 13. Where are they marked with the mark of the beast?
Right
Forehead or right hand. Where else have we seen people marked in the book of Revelation on the forehead? The 144,000 who are sealed by God. You see the theme here? The marking on the forehead puts you in alignment as to which camp do you belong. And it goes all the way back to Ezekiel. When God was to send judgment into the city, God said to an angel, mark all of those who are with me, so that when the judgment comes, we'll know who is on the Lord's side and who is not. The 144,000 are sealed for whom? God or the devil?
God.
God. Who are those marked with the beast? Who are they aligned with? The Satan. See that? So now we see yet a third person marked. And what is this name on the forehead that identifies who this person is? It says, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and of earth's abominations. That's her identity. That's what marks her. That's what identifies her. That's why we call her the whore of Babylon, because she's described as a harlot, fornicating with the kings of the earth, and her name is Babylon the Great. It's written on her forehead. That's where we get this title from. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Did you hear that? So this isn't a nice gal. Right? She's drunk with the blood of the saints. Notice the mockery. Did you catch that? What is she drinking in this golden goblet? Blood of the martyrs. What do Christians drink out of a golden goblet? The blood of Christ. Do you see the blasphemy here? You see this imagery? It's a mockery of the Mass. Because we drink the blood of Christ, do we not? In the chalice? Yes? What is this woman drinking out of a golden goblet?
The blood
of the martyrs.
saints and the martyrs of Jesus.
Do you see how blasphemous this is? And she's arrayed in purple and scarlet and pearls and jewels and gold. Very, very. Now, what do these represent? Let's think about this. Purple and scarlet. Let's stop right there. Obviously, this means the cardinals of the Catholic Church, right? They dress in purple and scarlet. Right? Say no, everyone. No. No. This is one of those things that people will say, oh, it's the Catholic Church because they dress in purple and scarlet, and the whore of Babylon's dressed in purple. Oh, and they got gold and jewels. You see all the golden crucifixes on all the cardinals. Why, this is just the whore of Babylon's the Catholic Church.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Right?
Yeah.
We've already been here before. I don't want to beat it in a dead horse. Watch the old videos that I did about this. All right? That's a misunderstanding of this image. Big misunderstanding. Well, then what's the purple and scarlet represent? Kingship. Kingship. Wealth. Luxury. You see, in the ancient world, to have dyed clothes of any color, let alone purple, was a sign of wealth, high wealth, because purple in particular was a very difficult color to dye with. That's why it's associated with royalty and has been for centuries. It was an expensive process to find the purple dye and then to dye the cloth with it. Scarlet, same idea. A very wealthy color. Gold, pearls, jewels, that it says, again, a sign of wealth and high prosperity. She's arrayed like a queen in the ancient world. And she is riding the beast, who himself is a political figure. So we're talking someone with great wealth. Let's go back to who is this harlot. She's arrayed in purple and gold, which means very wealthy. There's a level of wealth associated with this great city that is seated on the Gentile nations and is somehow connected with the Antichrist, or if you will, the powers of the Antichrist. Okay? She's like riding the wind. She's like riding the tailcoats of these political rulers. Now, let me tip my hat, my cards to you a little bit. I believe this actually refers to a personage in history. I think that there is you can make a connection. Just like the woman clothed with the sun is a person, a real person, the Blessed Mother, and it's a bigger symbol. I think that this harlot actually refers to a particular personage in history and is a greater symbol. Okay? Now, I'm not going to live or die on that. I could be wrong, but I think there's a good argument to be made. So, that gets you into okay, well, just wait, just wait. Okay. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering, wow, this is fantastic. Ooh, what is it? Who is this? What's going on? Well, you're in good company. Keep reading chapter 17. When I saw her, I marveled greatly. But the angel said to me, why marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns that carries her. You hear that? We're going to find out ourselves. We don't have to figure this out. The angel said we're going to hear all about it. You ready? The beast you saw was, is not, and is to ascend from the bottomless pit and go to perdition. Wow, that's pretty straightforward. Notice that the pronouncement of the beast is a reversal of the antiphon that's sung in heaven about God. Who is God? Who was, who is, and is yet to come. Who is the beast? The beast was, is not, and is ascending from the bottomless pit to go into perdition. So in other words, going nowhere, has no future. As opposed to God, who what? Who was, who is, and will yet be, is yet to come. Do you see the reversal there? Okay, now keep reading. And the dwellers on earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world will marvel to behold the beast, because it was, is not, and is to come. Now we already knew that, didn't we?